Rioters at the Capitol came within 40 feet of former Vice President Mike Pence on January 6th. That's according to lawmakers investigating the insurrection. Nikole Killion is on Capitol Hill and joins us now. Nikole, has former Vice President Pence said anything about what we learned at yesterday's hearing?
Well, the former president certainly has been vocal, calling these proceedings a witch hunt. But in terms of the former vice president, he was at an event yesterday in Ohio as this evidence was presented, but he made no mention of how close these violent rioters got to making good on their threats.
Our democracy came dangerously close to catastrophe.
The Select Committee investigating the Capitol attacks said the events of January 6th were the culmination of a failed legal scheme to convince former Vice President Mike Pence to overturn the 2020 election.
It was illegal and unconstitutional.
The panel says it originated with a fringe theory promoted by conservative attorney John Eastman, suggesting the vice president had the power to reject electors and declare Trump the winner.
I know for a fact I heard both say that his theory was crazy.
I said, are you out of your effing mind?
This is constitutional mischief.
Despite repeatedly being told it wasn't possible, the committee says the former president continued to push the idea despite Pence's objections, resulting in an angry phone call on the morning of January 6th.
You'll be a wimp. Wimp is the word I remember.
The conversation was pretty heated.
I hope Mike is going to do the right thing.
Once the Capitol was breached, White House aides say the former president was notified but continued to tweet. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done.
It felt like he was pouring gasoline on the fire.
Mike Pence has betrayed the United States of America!
The committee says that tweet put Pence's life in danger and revealed new photos of the underground location in the Capitol where he was evacuated.
That's all there was. 40 feet between the vice president and the mob.
I don't think I was aware that they were as close as that.
Even after the riot, when Pence returned to certify the election results, his advisor said he got another call from Eastman urging him not to.
That was certifiably crazy.
The committee says Eastman emailed Rudy Giuliani asking to be considered for a pardon. And when deposed by the panel this past December, Eastman took the fifth more than 100 times.
I assert my Fifth Amendment right against being compelled to be a witness against myself. Fifth.
Been realized.
Fifth.
The committee recently obtained new emails between Eastman and conservative activist Ginny Thomas. She is the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Committee Chairman Benny Thompson told reporters today that the panel has now sent a letter to Thomas asking her to speak to them.
Well, she told the Daily Caller that she wants to clear the record. So we'll see. Nikole, do we know what those emails were about between Thomas and Eastman and what the committee's hoping to find out?
Yeah, well, Eastman did weigh in on this. He posted to his blog yesterday, actually publishing one of the emails saying that this was really all about, Ginny Thomas reaching out to him to see if he could provide an election update to a grassroots group that she was affiliated with. But again, he dismissed a lot of these reports about what could potentially be in these emails as a false innuendo from the Select Committee panel. But that being said, as you mentioned, Ginny Thomas also weighed in an interview yesterday saying that, she is willing to talk to the panel to clear up any misconceptions.
Nikole, the Department of Justice, as you know, is asking the committee for copies of its interview transcripts. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this has been part of an ongoing back and forth between the Department of Justice and the Select Committee. The Department of Justice does want some of the witness transcripts that the committee has collected, particularly as it deals with a lot of these prosecutions and cases. There's a big trial coming up involving the leader of the Proud Boys. And so from that standpoint, the committee, the Justice Department rather, does want to get more of this evidence that the panel has. But what Benny Thompson, the chairman of the panel, has said is that, look, we're in the midst of our own investigation. We're still doing some of this work. We're in the midst of these hearings. We will eventually cooperate, but at this point in time, it doesn't sound like the committee intends to send over any type of transcripts, at least until they get through these hearings.
So back to the pressure that Mike Pence was under. Prior to this hearing, we had an idea of what was happening with him inside the building, the timeline of how he was being moved throughout the building. But we saw some new photos and we learned some new information. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right. So those new photos showed where the former vice president was whisked away to when he was evacuated out of the Senate chamber. It turns out it was in this underground portion of the Capitol where he and his aides were holed up for about 4.5 hours. And we know in that time he did make calls to the Department of Defense, trying to get the National Guard to come in, trying to obviously, calm the situation at hand and bring calm to the streets outside of the Capitol here, which is something that the former president didn't do in that time. So that is something. But also in terms of these threats, one thing that was concerning that emerged out of this testimony yesterday is information that was obtained through some of these investigations into this extremist group, the Proud Boys, that based on an FBI informant who testified recently as part of that particular investigation, noted that the Proud Boys were willing to kill Mike Pence if given the chance, and potentially even Speaker Pelosi. So again, the committee really pointing to what they say was a real threat to the former vice president's life. Again, all ginned up by this theory and notion that Pence could somehow overturn the results of the election.
Yeah, I think it's really important to point out that it wasn't hyperbole. It wasn't just a bunch of people just caught up in the frenzy. There were people there that if they got a hold of the vice president, the former vice president, they would carry through on those threats. Nikole, thank you very much.
You bet.